Hi all. This video will walk through the basics of using the progression generator, a practice tool for harmonic dictation in the first year toolkit. The basic operation of the progression generator is super simple. You click generate to create a new random progression, then use the play button for subsequent hearings. You can also send progressions to the generator, but we'll cover that in the DIY progression builder video. Let's just look at some of the settings for now. Two straightforward but important settings are your choice of key and how many chords you want the progression to have. Every progression has a cadence and a starting chord, so you can't make them any shorter than 3 chords. For the cadence, you can work with all cadence types or limit them, but note that the PAC's only label is a little misleading. Choosing this option limits the cadences to all 5/1 root position cadences, but the soprano is not similarly restricted, so this setting really just affects the bass and the chord. The least obvious setting is the chord options menu, but this one is really important. You can use this to control how extensive the chord vocabulary is. The progression generator works almost exclusively with diatonic chords in its random generator, although it does support a fair amount of chromatic options if you manually send a progression to the generator. So the all chords setting means pretty much all the diatonic chords, although you aren't likely to see things that don't appear much in traditional phrases. The roto label here refers to the rule of the octave, a convention that, although from the early 18th century, has a fairly broad applicability through its emphasis on using root position chords when the bass is leaping or on do or sol, but chords and inversion when bass notes other than do or sol move by step. The two settings below roto only gradually add a few more chords to the vocabulary while still avoiding things like falling fifths progressions. Once you've chosen your key, phrase length, and chord setting, you're ready to generate a progression. If you're having trouble hearing the bass through your speakers, you can adjust the bass and upper voice volumes using the sliders. You can also hide the right hand, but note that this doesn't mute it unless you use the volume slider. This lets you see the bass line while listening to the chords. The progression generator is designed to show you different amounts of information without revealing everything all at once. For example, you can see the bass contour tracking as in the melody player. This is meant to aid those struggling with tracking the bass, but can also be used to verify your bass line without seeing the specific notes. As already mentioned, you can also hide the right hand to view the notated bass line without seeing the full chords. For the chords, in addition to revealing the notation, you can also see either the Roman numerals or figured bass for each chord. Click the Show Labels button to see all of the chords at once, or click the small boxes below the score display to reveal one chord at a time. If you prefer to work with figured bass, just change the setting at the top, but note that this doesn't affect the current progression. In other words, you can't switch back and forth between Roman numerals and figured bass on the same progression. That should be more than sufficient to start, but you might want to check out the DIY progression builder video to see things like manually stepping through a progression or sending custom progressions to the progression generator. Thanks for watching, and happy practicing.